Hey guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher. Appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check out today's episode. And guys, at the time of filming this video, it's February 1st, and I want to show you guys a couple of the baits that I really like to fish in February that really people don't fish very much. There's very few people I know when they think about February bass fishing that use the two lures we're going to be talking about today. And I have found in my own personal experience, if you have the right set of conditions that I'm going to describe in today's video, that these two baits will catch you a bunch of fish. So we'll get into that in today's video. And also guys, I will link both of the lures I'm talking about in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. So if you guys would like to try these two under the radar, sort of like little known baits for February fishing, you can get them in my Tackle Warehouse link in this video description. And also guys, thank you everybody that's taken time to subscribe here to the Fishing Teacher, join as a channel member or Patreon member. Really appreciate that. Okay, February bass fishing. It's a big transition month in the sport. A lot of movement, a lot of stuff's going on. We're not there yet, but we're getting closer closer to the pre-spawn. I guess probably mid to late February can be classified as the early pre-spawn, depending on your weather patterns. But nevertheless, by the end of February, into this month, we are definitely starting to get into the pre-spawn period of the year. And once this pre-spawn period gets nearer and your daylight hours get longer, water temperatures are maybe very, very slowly warming up, maybe 1 degree every week or week and a half or something like that if you have normal weather, there is a definite shift in the bass moving out of their wintertime patterns. And the two baits I want to talk about in today's video are the baits that I take advantage of that transition. Okay, now I'm going to talk about them right off the bat, and then we'll get how to fish them and everything. The two lures we're going to be talking about is the old, this is the Rapala DT6 crankbait. Been around a long time, really good bait, and this is the Megabass Sonic side. Now these two baits, guys, are two of my favorite February lures under the right conditions. The DT6, just like it says, it'll run about 6 foot deep on 10-pound test line on a long cast, and the Sonic side here is gonna run about 5 or 6 foot deep on 10-pound tests. So they're very situational as far as the fish have to be in that zone. And also on both of these guys, I do put some suspend strips on them. I don't want these baits floating up. I want them suspending. So with both of these baits, if you pick up a couple of these on my Tackle Warehouse link, get you some suspend strips and get them where you can weight them where they sit down neutral. It's very important for this type of fishing. But the two different profiles, both of these baits are pretty tight wobbling. They're not a real wide wobbler, but they have different profiles. The DT6 has got sort of a short, stubby profile, and the Sonic side's got the more shad looking flat side profile. And these are the two that I catch a bunch of fish on in February under the conditions I'm getting ready to lay out here. Okay, in order for these two baits to work good in February, you have to have a part of the lake that falls into the category of what I'm talking about. First of all, you gotta find the part of the lake that you're fishing that has a little bit more off-colored water. And you may or may not have that in the lake that you're fishing, but what you're gonna have for these two lures to work good is you need water visibility between like 1.5 feet to 2 foot in that zone. Sort of that 13, 14 inch visibility up to maybe, I don't know, 18 inches or so like that. That is the clarity window. And the clarity window is the most important thing. It's even more important than the water temperature. Water temperatures for these two baits to work, there's a range between like the upper 40s to mid 50s. So you've got to have that water temperature sort of setting between, say, 47 and 55 degrees in that zone. But you have got to have that stain to the water just a little bit. So if you gave me a perfect scenario for this to work good, I would take like water visibility about 1.5 feet, something about like that in clarity, and water temperatures right around 50, 52 degrees, low 50s is going to be a perfect scenario with that. What this does, it puts the fish in position on the bank to be caught with these particular baits. Because if you have water visibility that's a little bit cleaner than this, you're probably not going to do very good on these bait categories. If it's a little bit dirtier than that, you're not going to do that good in that cold of water. So that's the window for it. The next thing with it, you got to have rocky banks. Possibly if you have some submergent vegetation, like if you're fishing like Lake Gunnersville, and you got some big grass flats, you can catch them over that. But specifically, I want to talk about the rock structure. You need to have steeper rocky banks in the form of a bluff bank, a channel bank, a riprap bank, something that's got some fairly steep slope with it. And what I'm gonna do with both of these lures, guys, I'm gonna make long parallel casts down those steep rocky banks, and I'm gonna have my boat positioned far enough off the bank where I'm hitting that 3 to 5 foot zone. Now, if you've got water temperature around 50 degrees and you've got water visibility of about 1.5 or 2 foot, that means you're gonna have some fish living in that 4 to 6 foot zone. And this is the zone that these fish are gonna get in. And that time of year, they like this wobble. They like the profile of the bait. They like the wobble. Throw it out there, make a long cast, and just use some type of a slow stop and go retrieve. And this is where weighting the bait comes in critical, because you're fishing this bait with sort of a slow wobble like that. And when you get it down to the bottom and you start to hit the bottom like that, and you have that stop and go retrieve or you hesitate, you do not want the bait floating up because you lose your depth. So it's very critical to have this thing neutrally buoyant. So when you're wiggling it down like this and you stop it momentarily, it stays right there. And then it starts digging down deeper and it stays there. Very, very critical, because if you have a bait like the DT6, which is a pretty buoyant bait, and if you stop it for 2 or 3 seconds, it's gonna float up 1.5 feet or so. You do not want that. So make sure they're weighted good. And I say 10-pound test line, but you can go down as light as 6 or 8. I've used 6 or 8 on it too with pretty good results. But you want to get it close to the bottom. You don't have to be knocking and digging the bottom hard, but you want to be occasionally hitting the bottom on that long cast and really, really try to get that bait down into that 4 to 6 foot zone. Now, one of the things about it, if the water is a little bit cleaner, like say it's more on the 2 foot zone, the 2 to 2.5 foot clarity zone, you're gonna find the DT6 works a little bit better. But if the water's got more color to it, say it's down closer to that 1.5 foot zone, it seems like the sonic side works a little bit better because it's a little shallower runner. But guys, I catch a lot of good fish, excuse me, in the month of February on these 2 baits right here, sometime even up into early March, again, depending upon the weather patterns. So when you've got people that are throwing swim baits and jerk baits and A-rigs and stuff like that during February, try this, guys. Try the Megabass Sonic side, the old school Rapala DT6. It'll get you some good bites in the month of February. So hope it helps out. We'll talk later.